This month's version of back lever Manna and front split, we're focusing on an isometric hold. Now you want to work with the range of motion that you're comfortable with. So I recommend trying to do as much of a 360-degree pull that you can. But here you can just work on this side, raising up and then lowering down. Nice and slow controlling. It is good to still include the concentric, eccentric, even when you're doing the isometric, so you're still keeping those other things, but you're just focusing on that static position in more of the horizontal position, where the hips and the shoulders are level, but still work that range of motion so it keeps the shoulder nice and healthy. You can gradually increase the load, as always, so with the toes down here, makes it much easier. But you're still just trying to gradually increase that strength in the bicep tendon if you need to. And also these are good warm-up versions too, just to get the tissues prepped before you go into a harder version. And then when you're coming back up, you can kind of lower into that front lever on the other side to make it a bit more challenging and a bit more full range of motion. So as you start to work it harder, you can raise the rings up. Then you may do a little jump or just a nice pull into the higher ring position like that. The compression raise is the easiest. Obviously, if you're getting stronger, you might raise in an open tuck or start to go with the harder version even on the way up. Coming down is obviously easier because you can do up to 1.5 times the load that you'd be able to handle concentrically on the way up. So eccentrically you're 1.5 times stronger, and then isometrically you're going to be around 1.25 times stronger than you are with the concentric. So they're just getting a nice stretch, and these are nice to get that hand compression pull through, going down, stretching it out. Takes a lot of hamstring flexibility to get the feet through like that. You can bend the legs, cross them over a little bit if you have to get them through. And then here lowering down a bit heavier into some harder versions. Really want to make sure you're pulling your shoulders in front, so you really think of lengthening out in front and pulling the rings down towards the hips. And that really, you see the angle of the arm there and holding level. So the more you can pull those shoulders forward, the more you can open out the legs. So this one's the one I did on Instagram just recently. Just that hand compression pull down into a pike, and then a hand compression pull on this side coming up, and then lengthening out into that nice open body, and then just straddling it to make it much easier because the legs become shorter on that lever length as they go apart. But it feels good to hold them straight, point the toes, squeeze, and then I'm just piking down at the end. But yeah, work the version that's right for you. Try and make sure if you're doing isometric around at least a 5 to 10 second hold in that isometric position. So same for Manna, here's the easier wrist position, opening up the front of the hips and then lowering and controlling that down, and then even touching the butt down. As you get a better press, then you can come down into that L position and then press through to the other side, even into that kind of piked planche position there, where the shoulders start to come forward, which is quite cool. Here's the heavier wrist position here, which is what you need to develop to be able to lean further back. So you need to strengthen those wrists more. You just want to give them time. You never want to force the elbows or the wrist to do more than what they can handle. Feed the bottom through, keep pressing, straighten the legs out, point the toes. Feels good, and then coming up into that wrist move after. Here's just a way to measure that lean back, keeping the front of the hips open and really trying to challenge the wrists as well there. You can use parallettes, dumbbells, have the hands out the side. Just want to work with your tissues and make sure they're getting stronger in a nice way. He's using the slider and then really pressing through and tucking up. We've got the easier wrist position here. And then the one I did for Instagram this month is just using the parallettes. So getting a nice lean there with a nice open body, and I'm really trying to press through. Here I could have pushed a bit more to get more of a planche push-up position. but it feels nice to work that range and really strengthen through a full range of motion. Here's a good way to raise up higher with the hips, just raising their legs up. Here I've got my shoulders above the wrist, so it's pretty easy. It's just more of a stretch, but if you lean further over here, you've got that full body weight leaning back, and you've really got to work on getting that press. So front splits, getting that isometric in this position here to open up the hip flexors, and then in the hamstring stretch position as I bend forward. It's a good way to do it separately, and really focus on tucking that pelvis under and getting that nice strengthening response in the hip flexors, and then here strengthening out the hamstrings, and you're getting that nice isometric control through the lumbar rectors, so you're learning that hip back disassociation, which is great for all the acrobatic movements and all the handstand kick-ups, cartwheels, all that. Just stabilizes the spine against the movement of the legs. And then just always want to make sure you balance left and right side, so the left side and the right side are equal. And then really get that nice hinge, keep the core active, really try and stick the bottom back. So you can see, imagine if I was just standing on that front leg and the back leg wasn't touching. It's quite a decent bend there. Here's just a heavier version with the arms above the head. So here I need to work on getting a bit more protraction and elevation rather than that. You can see the scaps retracting a bit. Keeping the ribs in. But these are quite heavy. They look pretty simple, pretty easy. Most people, kind of look and go, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty easy, but it's quite heavy when you're really trying to hinge and then trying to hold the arms up above the head on that line. See there, I dipped down a bit. Need to work on it. Always more to work on. Then here, just get into that eccentric front split. So this month I'll do it and just kind of hold there for longer. Work on that isometric at the bottom just before you touch. Once you're touching it, you're not really loading up that mobility position, that loaded flexibility training. That's really beneficial. The stronger you can get in that end range, the easier that range of motion is, which is pretty simple as a concept, but most people aren't training that way or thinking that way. And here just getting some flossing. These are really good to do to open that up. And just ensure that the nerves are flowing through, not getting tethered by the muscles. You don't want to rush these though, you never want to pull too much on it and strain something. But yeah, get into it, get those videos done, get some back to me, get some feedback, and then I'll see you soon, guys. Cheers.